Hi, John King.
Greetings from Montgomery County, just outside of Philadelphia, and thanks for making me thirsty. But I can promise.
Oh my goodness!
I promise your last guest, I will visit the new DC operation as soon as I get home.
Fabulous, fabulous. They're great.
Really
and it's great.
a clever, unintimidating way to buy wine. So, John, why did Kamala Harris pick Walz, and was it a good move? Do the political operatives think at this point?
I think it's interesting because you're seeing a lot of the DC chattering class somewhat disappointed. I think they had a favorite first in Senator Kelly and then maybe in Governor Shapiro. If the DC chattering class thinks it's not the best pick, then it probably is. Look, we'll see how it plays out. And I think the most important thing to say here is you cannot find any data. We talked about this last week, I think, that says voters, make their decision based on the vice presidential pick. However, it can hurt you, and I think that Trump has had a bit of a bumpy rollout with J.D. Vance. Where has J.D. Vance had a problem, right? With his cat lady remarks, suburban women, people who think you don't want politicians to be judgmental. And so what do you get in Tim Walz? You get a small-town guy, Midwesterner, just like J.D. Vance is a small-town guy, except this is a guy who made abortion the law of the land in his state of Minnesota, who has helped kids from low-income families get free or reduced cost meals. And so when the Republicans are going to attack Harris and whoever she picked as liberals, Walz does give them someone who say, if you mean by being a liberal government that works for people who need help or people who want rights.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can make the argument. He's a really funny guy. He is beloved by his other governors. Yeah, he served in the National Guard. He's not a lawyer. He's a school teacher. He was a coach. We've talked a lot in my travels about how people are disillusioned with politics and they're looking for something different. I think he gives you the opportunity to say, first woman of color as your president, a different kind of guy from the small town Midwest, the Minneapolis suburbs. It's an interesting pick, and I'm really fascinated to see how it plays out.
By the way, as soon as we have talked to John, we're going to entertain your thoughts about whether or not Kamala Harris made the right choice with Governor Walz. John, I don't remember who you were talking to last night on CNN, but you were talking about having been in Arizona and I think Georgia and now Pennsylvania, whatever, all these battleground states. And your quote was, Democratic energy is off the charts, describing the post-Harris announcement. What do you mean by that?
Look, Democrats, when Biden, just 16 days ago, when Joe Biden was the nominee, a lot of Democrats were holding their breath, incredibly loyal to Joe Biden, grateful to Joe Biden for kicking Donald Trump out of the White House, grateful for Joe Biden for getting significant legislative achievements through a very narrowly divided Washington, and yet very nervous because they were not seeing an active, vigorous Joe Biden on the campaign trail. So when you visit Democrats now, it's fascinating. They're using terms like stamina, vigor, energy, vitality. One of the guys I was knocking doors with in the 101-degree heat in Arizona said it's a lot easier to win support for somebody when you can actually see them out campaigning.
Yeah.
So Democrats are now all saying all the things they were biting their tongue about in their nervousness about Biden. There's just no question, whether it's small dollar contributions, the canvassers were saying that, they usually work 30 hours a week. They were all willing to work more hours. They had more people volunteering. There's no question that there is grassroots Democratic energy. It's a Z compared to A or B 3-4 weeks ago, especially after the debate, right after the Biden-Trump debate. Now, is that enough? I would posit it is not. But it makes Harris competitive. And now she has a chance to try to win back some of the young people who left the president, win back some of the independents. And I'm here and was just having a conversation with a suburban Philadelphia woman who's a registered Republican who says if it was Biden-Trump, she might have voted Trump for the first time. She voted for Hillary Clinton, then she voted for Joe Biden. And she said she might have voted Trump because she doesn't like Biden's policies. Now she's going to give Harris a look. That's what Democrats are looking for. She has an opportunity. The question is, can she take advantage of it?
Well, I know we've talked a lot about Pennsylvania being such a crucial state with its 19 electoral votes. That's where Shapiro obviously is from. Wisconsin, Michigan, these states, these must-win states. But you talked about a Sun Belt strategy for Harris. What's that?
Well, if it's number one, Joe Biden did flip Georgia and Arizona. Why did that happen? Those states are becoming more suburban. And so you have a combination in Georgia. You have a very significant number 2 in the country in terms of the percentage of voters who are African Americans. So there's your foundational Democratic base. And then as the Atlanta suburbs, just like the Philadelphia suburbs, where Jim's from, have become more Democratic, higher college education is now more Democratic. Abortion rights in the suburbs play as well. So those states, Georgia and Arizona, have become more Democratic. Now, they're still quite purple. the Sun Belt strategy, Kamala Harris could be president even if she lost the 3 blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those 3 have voted together since 2004, by the way.
Wow.
They have, they have a split. But she would also have to win North Carolina to do that, which, remember, Obama won North Carolina in 2008 because of historic African-American turnout. But then even Obama lost it in 2012 when that turnout dropped back just a little bit. Democrats have thought for the last, since 2008, that they can get North Carolina because of the demographic changes. A big African-American vote, plus all the research triangle, all the colleges, the campuses, and the health care and the technology, that it should be good for them, but they always come up just short. So it is possible. The safest Democratic strategy is win Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and then you really only need one more. You can just get Nebraska's 2nd congressional district and get to 270, or pick up one of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, or North Carolina. That would get Harris in there. But with her, the one point is, if Biden were to top the ticket, his only path was the 3 blue wall states, and then hold your breath and hope you get Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Harris, at least, does have a couple of options. I would argue Trump probably still has more options, but she has narrowed that gap actually quite a bit. And I would say that question's almost irrelevant until we get through the Democratic convention and up to Labor Day, and then we'll have a sense of where we are. But she has made it more competitive, without a doubt.
You go ahead, Mark.
The conventional wisdom is that vice presidents' candidates to get back to Walz don't matter that much. Sarah Palin may have hurt John McCain back in 2008, but I can see where, if you're freaked out by a woman, if you're freaked out by a woman of color, you might be reassured by the football coach, school teacher, National Guard kind of guy.
Why? He's not in charge.
Because it's a combination. It's a combination of people together. I don't know. I can see where, he doesn't look like a politician. Shapiro looks more like a politician. Kelly doesn't look like a politician either. He's an astronaut, obviously, out in Arizona. There must have been something. I wondered if there was something wrong there that they found out, because he was eliminated, and I thought he'd be great too. But you know what I mean? It's a yin and yang kind of thing with Harris and Walz, at least to me. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, and I think part of the test here, Walz is to Harris as Biden was to Obama.
Yes, exactly.
A blue-collar guy who, it gives you validation. Do you vote for Kamala Harris because of Tim Walz? No. But if you had a question, does Barack Obama understand me, or is he going to have somebody in the room who understands me? That was why you picked Joe Biden. So the people of Scranton, Pennsylvania said, okay, I'm represented in the room. Maybe I don't know this guy Obama. Maybe I've never voted for a black guy for anything before, and so it's a little hard. It's a little different. But I agree with his values, and okay, look what he did. Okay, my guy, one of us is going to be in the room. I think that is the potential. That's the potential for Walz.
We're talking to John King from CNN, who's in Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, ahead of the Harris-Walz first public appearance later today. John, you're always careful to say whenever we talk about polls that it's a moment in time. But for these last, whatever I think you said, 16 days, it has been trending in one direction. And I have to say, while I'm not quite a student of Trump, I'm somebody who, like Marjorie and you, obviously, who followed him closely for the last X number of years, maybe 9 years. I've never seen him so unequipped to fight as he appears to be now. She's got a low IQ. She's dumb. She didn't say she was black until it's all flailing kind of stuff that seems to be in search of a game plan. Am I being unfair to Trump here?
You sound like the serious adults on his campaign staff, because that's exactly what they're telling him.
Are they?
Yes, they're telling him, campaign on inflation, campaign on leadership, campaign on, the pre-COVID Trump economy, and try to get people back on that point, or campaign, campaign on the border and immigration. Stop insulting her. Stop making it personal. But we know, whether we want to talk about Hillary Clinton in 2016 or Nancy Pelosi when she was Speaker during the Trump presidency, Trump has a problem dealing with strong women. He just does. The facts support that. So he mispronounces her name. Yesterday in a Truth Social posting, he misspelled her name. And when you add that into J.D. Vance and the childless cat lady thing, when suburban women have the potential to change this election, and now you have Harris, who's very strong on reproductive rights, Tim Walz, who made reproductive rights the law of the land in his state of Minnesota. So you have a woman of color and a governor who has supported issues that are important to a lot, not everyone agrees on that issue, but to a significant number of moderate suburban, Nikki Haley voters or people who voted for George W. Bush and Mitt Romney and John McCain, but don't like Donald Trump. And then you're on top of that, she's where you are on policy, and then he's being a jerk. Forgive me, but that's what some of the voters say. He's being a jerk. That's not wise. The question is, can they get him back?
John King, the other thing people have, the conventional wisdom seems to be that it's very difficult to pick a vice president in such a short amount of time because there's not enough time for vetting, et cetera. Obviously, Trump had a lot more time to pick J.D. Vance. So do you think that they just missed some of this stuff about Vance, or that when they picked him when Biden was still in the race and the thinking was that Trump was going to win? It seems to me to pick someone that says that people with children should have more power in their vote than people who don't have children, and you say you're opposed to no-fault divorce and think that maybe you're better off staying in Papa and Mama's marriage that was violent, and she set him on fire at one point and all these crazy things. Did they not know that, or did they think it didn't matter?
That's a great question, and I can't answer whether did they see all of those clips. But those clips, there's this little thing called the internet,
yes.
And there's a search bar. There's a search bar at the top, and you just type in a few words, and this is not hard to find. This is not like this is not like it's hidden in something somebody wrote in their senior year of high school before the internet, and you have to go back and find the microfiche, and go through the files to get it. This is all over the internet, and I would also say that there are a lot of people in the MAGA movement who believe this, who believe it. And now you have J.D. Vance's wife, who did one interview trying to say what he means is that, government needs to do more to support parents. Well, that's very different than saying somebody who doesn't have children is inferior as a voter, is inferior as a citizen. His tone is very different than Usha Vance tried to describe it. We'll see if they can clean this up, but he didn't just say it once. He has said it repeatedly, and he said variations of it repeatedly. So you have to assume that they knew it, Marjorie. You have to assume that they thought it's okay. And remember, when he made the Vance pick, Donald Trump was in the driver's seat. Right. And again, I think they think that he was thinking maybe of somebody who could help him in small-town America as a potential heir to the MAGA movement. That his son and some other people around him really pushed strongly. A lot of people pushed him away from J.D. Vance. A lot of Republicans tried to get him to go somewhere else, but he didn't. But Donald Trump was in the driver's seat then. And I think one of the lessons here for any decision you make in life, if you are on a win streak, don't make the decision thinking you're always going to be on a win streak. Make a decision, always treat yourself, even if you're ahead 40-0 in the game, always think it's 0-0 or think you're behind.
John, one of the other interesting things from your Arizona piece last night, to me at least, was you talked to two people, an older guy and a young guy. I think the young guy might be voting for the first time. I can't remember. Neither of whom are going to vote for the Republican or the Democrat. I think the older guy said, I'm going to vote for a libertarian. And I think the younger guy said a socialist. I'm not clear. The basic thesis being, I think, the tiredest line in the history of politics. There's no difference between the parties and the candidates. How aberrational are they in your travels? Are there still people in significant numbers who are saying they're all the same?
There are, let me separate them. Nico Rios is the 19-year-old. He says if he was old enough in 2020, he would have voted for Biden, that he supported Biden on issues like climate, on issues like abortion rights, on LGBTQ rights and things like that. He says now he sees no difference in the parties, but he's especially mad. He doesn't like Biden's immigration policies. He doesn't see a big distinction with Trump, but he's especially mad over Israel-Hamas. Yeah. And he has been part of some pro-Palestinian protests. He says he's gone, although he does say, Jim, that a lot of his friends who were not going to vote for Biden are now talking about should we give Kamala a look. So she's not going to get, doesn't sound like she's going to get Nico, but she may get some of her friends, and she needs a lot of his friends. Ray Flores is the restaurant owner. He's a little different in that he says as of today he would vote third party, and that's what he told me when we first met back in March. But he does say that he believes Harris deserves a look, that you have a new, he said, he called it a fresh new game. And because of that, he wants to give her a look. He's very distrustful of Washington and the political class. He thinks politicians of both parties just say what it takes to win, and they talk, but they don't follow through on their promises. But he did say he would give her a look, and that's what I would say is the opportunity, right? In a place like Arizona, 10,000 votes, you have to get those true independents. You got to get as many of them as you can, and Ray is a true independent. A lot of people who say they're independents, tend to vote 80 or 90% for one party or the other. They just don't like being labeled as a partisan, so they say they're independents. Ray's a true independent, but he did say he would give her a look, and he said he wants a debate. And so again, there's the opportunity to pick up that vote. I think Nico is a 19-year-old, and the Hamas-Israel thing has become a cause for him. And I don't see any chance he can come back, but we're going to go back and follow up with him just to test that, number one, but also to see if he has 10 friends who are where he is today, and Harris can get 6 or 7 of them back, that's what she needs to do. Start to grow her numbers. The change has made her competitive. Now she has to grow some more to put all of those battleground states in play to widen the map.
Last thing from me, are you, if you were a betting person, would you say there'll be a debate? Obviously, as of the moment, Kamala Harris says she's showing up by herself to ABC, and Donald Trump allegedly has a deal, even though it's not clear to me he does, worked out with Fox News. Will there be a debate?
I don't know the answer to that, so here's what I would say. Is it looks like right now Donald Trump doesn't want a debate. Because he has one on the table and he walked away from it. Yes, he's saying, I want to do it on Fox instead, but there was one on the table that he could do and he walked away from it. So you just mentioned the trajectory in the polling. If Harris can continue the trajectory, and now she's pulled herself into even or just behind Trump, with the momentum, the arrow is clearly pointing her way. If when we talk next week and after the Democratic convention, does Donald Trump think he needs one? That would get him back to the table.
Fair enough. Hey, John, it's wonderful to talk to you. The reporting is brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Good to
Thank
talk
you.
to you.